We've stressed the fact that summarization is very important to us when it comes to being able to control information being advertised into our devices. And it's also important from us from the point of view of being able to reduce the total amount of stateful entries that we want to maintain in our routing tables. Now, RIPng is no different than RIP version 2 for IPv4, because what we're going to find out is again, we have the capability of doing summarization. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a new loopback on R1, and we're going to advertise that into RIPng. So config T, and what I'm going to say here is I'm going to say interface. Let's see, I already have some, I'm sure. Do show run interface LO, do show IP interface brief, E assign. Let's look and see what we got. Yes. So what we'll do is let's create a new one. Interface LO 200. Now on interface LO 200, I'm going to apply an IPv6 address. I'm going to say IPv6 address, and I'm going to create a special address, something that we can track it with. I'm going to say FC00, and hopefully it'll take it. And what I want to do here is I'm going to say it's going to be 1. How do I want to do that? No, this is what we'll do. We'll say 1, 0, 1, colon, colon, 1. And I'm going to say this is going to be a /64. IPv6 RIP. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and say RIPng enable. Now if I got my sums right, when I cut over to R22, I should see that entry now. So show IP route, IPv6 route. And let's see what we got. I'm looking for anything that starts with FC instead of FE or 2000. So I did that just try to help it stand out. And do I see anything yet? So far I do not. So show IP route, IPv6 route, for FC00. Let's do this. Pipe include FC00. There it is. So I've got an entry for it. So here's the network that I'm looking for. So let's see if I can't do this clearly. Show IPv6 route, and I want to look at this particular prefix. Now the reason I'm doing this is that I'm learning this both from R3 and from R2. So let's look at that. So same as before, I have a loopback interface. That interface is being advertised via RIPng to Cat1 and Cat2. Cat1 sending it to R2, Cat2 is sending it to R3 respectively, and both R2 and R3 are advertising that particular prefix, which we said was FC00 colon 1 colon 0 colon colon, I'm sorry, colon 1 colon colon 64. So that's the IPv6 network that we're talking about. Now what we're discussing here is the concept of summarization. So I want to control how I'm going to be sending information. First, let's look at summarization in the context of RIPng with regard to how we can affect pathing. Again, this idea of traffic engineering. Because if I look at the way things are set up right now, and I come into my device, let me go ahead and grab my console here, and I do a trace route to IPv6 address FC00 colon 1 colon 0 colon 1 colon colon 1, and I check it out. Notice, like I said, I'm going to load balance. I'm going to load balance because it's equal cost multipathing from R22 through R2 and through R3 to reach R1, to reach that particular loopback interface. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to R2 and I'm going to make certain that we will prefer R3 to reach this prefix. And I'm going to do that through the idea of summarization again. So let's look and see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is on R2, I'm going to go under the interface. So config T, interface serial 2/0, do show CDP neighbors, out serial 20. That's the one that's connected to R22, my data center router. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a summarization. The syntax is super simple. IPv6, RIP, RIPng, summary, and then how do I want to summarize? Well, I want to take FC00 colon 1 And I want to summarize it down to a /61. So I'm going to change it from 64 to 61. And I'm going to hit enter. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do clear IPv6 route star. Let's take a look at what's happening on R22 now. So when I do or repeat my show command, let's see what's going on. Well, let's see here. We've got prefixes in our routing table for 2.1 and 2.0. And let's see exactly how things are going to happen. Well, while this is cooking, let's go back over to R2 and make sure that I did everything properly. So do show run section IPv6 router. Do show run interface serial to 0. So I've got my summary going on here. So ultimately, I would hope that everything should ultimately make it over here to R20 or R22. We'll see what we've got here is still in our table. So we're still incrementing. So let's clear the process here. Clear IPv6 route star. And let's see what happens. Well, that entry's still in my routing table. Show IP route. Let's go through here real quick. Actually, I need to be show IPv6 route. Let's see what we got. Looking for FC 00. There's FC 00. Now notice what's happening. We have a summary that we're learning out of serial 20. And also look, we have this idea of the fact that we still have these entries in our routing table to be able to reach this particular destination. So what's happening here is I'm advertising that particular interface, and I'm advertising that particular interface into my routing protocol. And what's happening here is kind of interesting. So let's explore this. So let's look. So what happens if I trace route now? So if I do a trace route, and I do a trace route show, notice I didn't load share. I went from 2001, I went to 3, to cat2, down to R1. So the path that I took was the path that I would have expected to take. I went this way, to this way, to this way. Now, the reason being is that this path right here is a /24, I'm sorry, a /64. This one is a /61. The longest or the longer match is going to determine which direction I take. But what I want to do is I want to look at this routing table again. Show IP route. And what I want to do is I want to look at it specifically for FC 00, 1, 0, or 1, 1. Let's see, no, show IPv6 route. And now I only have the one entry. So again, we're running into the same scenario that we ran into with RIP version 2, and that is the fact that it is just so stinking slow. So again, clearing our connections or clearing our routing tables offers us quite a bit of relief in being able to recover from these issues. But again, if you find yourself in a even moderately sized RIP environment, you're just going to have to constantly remind yourself to be patient. Because unless the lab tells you to, I highly recommend that you do not touch the timers. Just make notes, move on, make certain you come back and do verifications when you do your configurations. Or if you think you're going to be able to finish in a very timely fashion, go ahead and wait. But I never recommend, even to students who are well prepared, that they wait to be able to see what's happening. So what we did is we illustrated summarization with RIPng. Let's move on to some other topics. I'll see you guys in the next presentation.